Milo was used to silence. Working on a far-off moon like Duran 5, silence was normal. The small colony of humans here was focused on farming and gathering resources, not talking. Each day passed quietly until the night the fog rolled in. The fog came quickly, thick and heavy like a blanket, spread across the colony, hiding buildings and machines. Milo had just finished checking the solar panels when he noticed the strange mist crawling over the ground. He tapped his com. Control, this is Milo. The fog's back. Visibility is low. Doing one last round before I head in. No reply. That wasn't normal. The comms had worked just an hour ago. Frowned and tapped it again. Still no sound. Milo didn't panic. Years of working in isolated outposts had taught him to stay calm. He lifted his flashlight and began walking, slowly following the path that led around the edge of the colony. His boots crunched on gravel. The air felt colder than usual. That's when he saw her. At first he thought it was a broken antenna swaying in the wind, but then it moved. A tall, thin figure stepped out of the fog. She wore a flowing silver cloak that shimmered slightly like liquid under moonlight. Her skin was pale blue, almost white, and her red eyes glowed faintly in the mist. She didn't look human. Milo stopped walking. His hand hovered near the stun baton at his side. But he didn't grab it. Not yet. The figure spoke, her voice soft but clear. You don't belong here, human. Milo blinked. He wasn't sure what he had expected. A wild animal, maybe, or another lost colonist, but not this. Neither do you, he answered calmly. The figure tilted her head. Her long black hair moved like smoke. She didn't come closer, but she also didn't leave. You're not afraid? No, Milo said, his voice steady. Should I be? The alien woman seemed amused. A small smile touched her lips, but it didn't reach her eyes. Most humans run or scream. Milo shrugged. You haven't done anything yet. The woman took one silent step forward. The fog around her curled and shifted like it was alive. Milo stood still. His flashlight flickered, then died. Total darkness pressed in except for the red glow of her eyes. Who are you? He asked. I am called Valari. My kind once ruled the shadows, but that was a long time ago. Milo tried to remember the stories he had heard back at the academy. There had been tales of a race that lived on energy and emotions, almost like old Earth legends. They were called the Noctari. People said they were wiped out in the last Great War, but one stood in front of him now. You're Noctari, he said. Valari nodded. The last, she looked up at the stars above them. I came here long ago, hiding from those who hunted. My kind, your colony grew too close. I stayed hidden. But now your machines make too much noise. They draw attention. From who? Milo asked. Others. Worse than me. Her voice dropped. They'll come for you. Milo stayed quiet for a moment. He had 1,000 questions. Why reveal herself now? What did she want? Was she dangerous? Why are you talking to me? He finally asked Valari. Didn't answer right away. She walked to a nearby rock and sat down gracefully like she had done it 100 times before. The mist swirled around her feet. You're different. You didn't scream. You didn't threaten me. She looked at him, eyes glowing brighter now. That makes you interesting. Milo scratched the back of his neck. Interesting is better than dead, I guess. Valari gave a quiet laugh. It was a strange sound, not evil or cold, just unfamiliar, like someone remembering how to laugh after many years. You're brave, she said. Or foolish. Been called both, Milo replied. The fog was thinning now. The stars shone clearer overhead, and the lights of the colony buildings flickered back to life in the distance. Comes buzzed softly in Milo's ear. Control to Milo, are you there? You lost your signal. He didn't answer yet. He kept his eyes on Valari. Will I see you again? He asked. She stood up slowly, her cloak wrapped around her like liquid metal. Maybe, if I want to be seen. Then, just like that, she stepped backward into the fog and was gone. Milo stood there for a moment, thinking about what had just happened. The air was still cold, but the fear never came. He had seen something that most would never believe. Something powerful, strange, and maybe lonely. He touched his cum. Control, this is Milo. I'm okay. Just a signal hiccup. Is finishing my patrol now. As he walked back toward the colony, the stars above seemed a little brighter, and he smiled, because he knew that wouldn't be the last time he saw her. Ben sat at his workbench, surrounded by sparks, wires, and tools that barely worked on alien tech. The room smelled like metal dust and burnt plastic. Outside, the desert winds of the planet Velen 3 howled against the outpost walls. Across from him sat Vera, the tall alien warrior he had found barely conscious just 2 days ago. She still wore the lower half of her broken armor. The top piece rested on Ben's table, cracked, bent, and scorched from plasma fire. Vera hadn't spoken much. She sat straight, watching Ben with sharp silver eyes. Her dark purple skin had small cuts, now half-healed. She didn't flinch at the pain, or even complain about the cold. Despite the outpost's weak heating system, Ben wiped sweat from his brow. This tech's built for strength, not repair, he muttered. No wonder it failed under heavy fire. Didn't know if she understood everything he said, but sometimes her eyes narrowed, like she was listening closely. You fought something big, didn't you? Ben asked, glancing at her. She finally spoke, voice low but clear. Ambush. 10 against 3. Only I escaped. Ben looked back at the armor. The chest plate had deep scorch marks one blast had nearly pierced through. Wanted her dead. No warning. No mercy. Well, Ben said softly, you're lucky I found you. No, she replied without hesitation. You were lucky. Ben blinked. Excuse me? She looked at him directly. Corel warrior. Does not owe life debt to anyone but you. Repaired my blood plate. That is ancient law. You touched the armor of honor. Ben didn't fully understand Corel customs, but he could tell this meant something serious. He chuckled awkwardly. I just fixed a plate. You were bleeding and unconscious. What was I supposed to do, leave you there? Ira didn't smile. You touched more than armor, human. You touched legacy. Ben scratched his head. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't brave. He was just a tech engineer. Fixing broken things was all he knew. Still, he felt something heavy in her words. Like they carried a promise. The next morning, Ben got to work early. He had barely slept, too busy studying the armor structure through the night. Human tools didn't work well on Corel steel, but he had found a way mixing human welding. Systems with old mining lasers. Wasn't elegant, but it held. Vera stood behind him now, arms crossed. She never got too close, but she never left either. She watched every move he made, her expression unreadable. Ben used a small torch to melt a connector into place, sparks flying. Okay. Almost done with this power joint, he said. I added a heat vent to keep it from overloading next. Time. Vera stepped closer, just slightly. You improved my armor? Ben nodded. Yeah, not by much, but I added some human cooling tech. It's basic, but it might save your life. Vera looked down at the armor and then at Ben. You are not warrior, she said slowly, but your mind, sharp, strong. Ben smiled, surprised by the compliment. Thanks, I try. They stood in silence again. Outside, the winds howled. Louder, a sandstorm was coming. Suddenly an alert beeped from the console. Ben rushed over and tapped the screen. Distress signal, he said, scanning the message. Corel frequency. Looks like survivors. They're pinned down 3. Clicks east of here. Vera moved fast. She lifted her repaired armor, inspecting it. The pieces now shined with small patches of human tech, mixed into the dark steel. She suited up in seconds, the metal clicking into place with powerful thuds. Her helmet stayed in her hand. Ben looked at her. You're going? She said, they are my squad. She turned toward the door, then paused. Ben didn't know what made him say it. Maybe it was the way she had stayed so calm, or the way she trusted him with something sacred. Maybe he just didn't want her to go alone. I'm coming with you, he said. Vert turned sharply. No, it is battle. You stay. Ben grabbed his small pack and tools, You'll need someone to keep that armor running if it takes damage again. I won't fight, but I can help. She stared at him. Her face was unreadable, but her fingers tightened around her helmet. Then, slowly she nodded. They rode an old surface skimmer across the dunes, wind blasting against the shields. Vera drove. Ben held on tightly, his pack strapped to his chest. The signal led them to a crashed Corel ship, half buried in sand. Smoke rose in the distance, and shapes moved beyond the wreckage. Enemy drones. Vera activated her armor. The human upgrades powered up smoothly. Her armor's lights glowed a soft white where Ben had installed his tech. She turned to him. Stay low, I protect. Ben nodded. He crouched behind a rock, pulling out his scanner to track enemy movement. Vera charged ahead, a shadow of fury. In precision. Ben watched, wide-eyed. She moved like a storm-blocking fire, leaping between cover, striking with speed and strength. Her armor held, absorbing blast after blast. And when a power joint sparked under stress, Ben shouted, left, plate. Vent now. She hit the vent, and steam shot from her side, releasing the heat. The armor held. She trusted him. Minutes later, the battlefield went quiet. Enemy drones lay broken. 2 Corel soldiers limped from the wreck, stunned to see her. Alive, Ben stood, shaking from adrenaline. Vera walked back toward him. Her armor was scratched but still strong. She looked at him, then placed her hand on his shoulder. You are not soldier, but you are shield. Ben didn't know what to say. So, he just smiled. The sun was setting over the red sands of Velen 3. The light turned the sky into soft gold and orange. Wind carried dust across the battlefield, where the broken drones still lay like forgotten bones. The fight was over. The survivors had been rescued, but Ben's heart was still beating fast. He stood beside the surface skimmer, breathing heavily. His hands were dusty, and his clothes were torn from crawling behind rocks and dodging blasts. He looked up as Vera walked toward him, her repaired armor now scratched, but still glowing faintly with his added tech. Her steps were slow, but strong. She stopped in front of him, looking down with her sharp silver eyes. The helmet was clipped. To her side, her dark hair moved slightly in the breeze. She said nothing at first. Ben broke the silence. You made it back. Vera nodded. Thanks to you, Ben smiled, tired but relieved. In your squad, they live, she said. Injured, but alive. He let out a breath. That's good. I'm glad I could help. Vera didn't speak for a moment. She looked at him carefully, as if trying to understand something invisible. Then, she did something that made Ben freeze. She dropped to one knee in front of him. Her left hand touched her chest plate, the part he had repaired. Her right fist rested. On the ground, her head lowered slightly, but not in shame. It was a gesture of respect. Ben blinked, confused. What are you doing? Vera's voice was clear and calm. In the name of Corel code and ancient vow, I give you my shield. Your what? I owe you my life, she said. You repaired my armor. You stood beside me in battle. You warned me of danger. You saved my honor. Ben stepped back slightly, unsure what to say. I didn't. I just helped. That's all. Vera stood slowly, her gaze serious. Among my people, when a warrior's life is saved by one who cannot fight, the warrior must protect that life. Always. Ben stared at her, unsure whether to laugh or panic. Are you saying you're my bodyguard now? She nodded. Till the life debt is returned, I am yours to protect. Ben scratched his head. But I don't want a bodyguard. Vera tilted her head. I did not ask what you want. I gave my vow. He sighed, then chuckled a little. Well, I guess I've had worse days. For the first time, Vera smiled. Just a little, it wasn't forced. It was small and quiet, but it felt real. They returned to the outpost under a rising moon. The storm had passed, and the winds had calmed. The lights in the outpost flickered to life as the gate opened. Ben parked the skimmer and stepped out. Vera followed him silently, helmet in hand. As they entered the workshop, the warm lights made everything feel normal again. Wires, tools, shelves filled with parts. But Ben knew things had changed. He sat down at his bench, drinking water from a metal cup. His hands were still shaking slightly. "I've never been that close to a fight before." "You kept your mind clear," Vera said. "That is rare." Ben looked at her. "You really mean to protect me, even if I say you don't have to?" She nodded. "I already made the vow. It cannot be taken back." He sighed. "So what? You'll follow me everywhere. Danger comes, I will be there." Ben smiled. "Well, I hope it doesn't come. I'd rather spend my time fixing broken things, not running from plasma fire." Vera looked around his workshop. Her eyes paused on a broken human drone in the corner. "You fix things to protect others." Ben nodded. "Yeah, not many people say thank you, but it matters. Even the small stuff. If I can keep someone safe with a new shield or working scanner, I do it." Vera was quiet for a moment. "That is the way of a true warrior." Ben laughed softly. "Me, a warrior. I just know which wires not to touch." She stepped closer and rested her palm over the center of her chest plate again. "You do not need to fight with weapons. Your hands and mind are your blade." Ben looked down, surprised by how serious she was. "You really believe that, don't you?" he asked. "I do," she said. Later that night, Ben sat on the roof of the outpost, looking up at the stars. It was something he did when he couldn't sleep. The sky over Velen 3 was full of soft-moving clouds and slow, bright moons. Vera stood nearby, silent, her armor shining softly in the moonlight. "Do you ever miss home?" Ben asked. Vera didn't answer right away. Corel warriors are born for duty. Home is where the fight leads. "That's a little sad," Ben said. Ben said Vira looked up at the stars. "It is, but now, I wonder if I can choose something different." Ben glanced at her like, "What?" She didn't reply, but her expression softened. There was something calm in her eyes now, not just sharp focus. Like the edge of her blade had found a place to rest. Ben leaned back on his elbows. "So, if we're going to be working together for a while, I guess I'd better build a second workbench." Vera raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "You said you're going to protect me, right? That probably means getting shot at again. And if you get hit, I'll need to repair your armor. Again, better to be ready." Vera smiled quietly, agreed. They sat together in silence, the stars above watching them. The human who didn't fight. The warrior who now guarded a man. Who fixed broken machines? It was an unlikely team. But sometimes, the galaxy didn't need more soldiers. It needed people who fixed things, and people willing to protect them. Ben stood frozen in the middle of the council chamber. Kira stood beside him, her armor scratched and her face calmed. Her hands were tight at her sides. Around them, alien leaders in dark robes whispered to each other. One of the elders stepped forward. Her voice was soft, but carried power. "You removed her collar," the elder said. "By the old law, that action is a claiming. The bond is recognized." Ben raised both hands. "Look, I didn't mean to claim anyone. I was just helping." Kira turned toward him. "Ben, it's not about your meaning. It's about what the act represents in our culture." Ben looked at her. "You're saying I'm your husband?" Kira nodded slowly. "By tradition, yes. But I didn't expect this either." The council murmured again. Another elder, this one older, and with sharper eyes, stood. "This is not a small matter. You are the daughter of House Valen, protector of the outer moons. Your bond cannot be ignored." Ben looked at the strange symbols glowing on the floor, felt completely out of place, but not because of the people. Because everything here followed a system he didn't understand. "I didn't even know this planet a week ago," he muttered. "Now I'm bonded by law." Kira looked at him gently. "You saved me. You removed the collar when no one else would. You honored me without knowing. That's why the law accepts it." Ben sighed. "And what do you want, Kira?" Kira was quiet for a moment. Then she answered softly, "I want to choose, not be told. And right now, I choose not to let you walk away." Later that day, the two of them walked through the outer gardens of the council city. Strange trees bent toward the sky, with wide leaves like shields. The air was cool, and the sunlight glowed red-orange. Ben broke the silence. So, what happens now? Kira looked ahead. Some will accept the bond. Others will challenge it. Some think a human isn't worthy of bonding with a warrior blood. Ben kicked a small stone. Well, I don't have a royal title, but I did fix your armor. She smiled faintly. That means more than you think. You gave me back my strength. They passed a small stone fountain. A child ran by alien, yet clearly laughing like any human child would. I didn't expect this, Ben said. I didn't either, Kira admitted. But I'm not afraid of what it means. He looked at her seriously. And if someone tries to break the bond, she turned to him, then we fight for it, together. That night, the city held a gathering. Not a celebration, but a bond confirmation ceremony. Ben stood awkwardly at the center of a wide circle, wearing ceremonial cloths stitched by Kira's house. Kira stood next to him, holding a silver pendant, the symbol of union. A voice rang out. Let all who object speak now. And someone did. A tall warrior stepped forward. His armor was black, and his expression cold. I am Valen of the Flame Clan. I challenge the bond. The crowd hushed. Kira tensed. Was one of my former suitors. Believes he deserves my hand by strength. Ben whispered. So what do I do? Fight him. Kira shook her head. No, this is not a blood challenge. It is a test of truth. The elder raised a hand. Let the challenger speak. Valen stepped into the circle. This human knows nothing of our people. He didn't earn the bond. Tripped into it. Ben stepped forward. You're not wrong. I didn't plan this. I didn't even understand your customs. But I respect Kira. I helped her not because of law, but because she was hurt and no one else cared. The elder nodded. Let the bonded speak their truth. Kira looked across the circle. I was alone and broken. This human, without name or title, saw value in me when others saw failure. He risked exile to help me. If that's not honor, then what is? Valen's jaw tightened. He is still an outsider. The elder stepped toward the glowing circle and let the ancient stone decide. A clear crystal was brought forward. It glowed faintly with soft light, the elder explained. This stone measures the bond between spirits. If it shines, the bond is true. If not, the bond may be broken. Ben and Kira placed their hands on opposite sides of the stone. For a long moment, nothing. Then, a soft pulse. Blue light flowed from the stone, gentle and warm. The elder looked around. The bond holds. Valen clenched his fists. But the law was final. He stepped back without a word. The elder turned to the crowd, and the bond is accepted. That none challenge it again without cause. The crowd bowed. Ben blinked. Was that it? Kira smiled softly. That was everything. Later, as the stars filled the sky, Ben and Kira sat on the balcony of her home. City lights below flickered quietly. You handled all that better than I thought, Kira said. Ben leaned back. Honestly, I was terrified. She laughed. So was I. They looked at each other for a long moment. Do you regret it? He asked. Kira shook her head. No, I just wish we had more time to figure it out without the pressure. Ben nodded. We'll take it one day at a time. Held out her hand. He took it. The bond didn't need more proof. It had already begun to grow quietly, steadily like the stars overhead. The grand chamber had changed. Where the council once sat in quiet judgment, now a soft hum filled the air. Ancient stones around the room began to glow faintly with deep blue light. Kira looked around calmly, but Ben could feel something strange. In the air-like pressure without weight, a soft voice echoed across the chamber. Let the bond trial begin. One of the council elders stood. They'll claim to share a bond deeper than law. Our ancestors believed true bonds left a mark not just in mind, but in spirit. Ben raised an eyebrow. So, how do we prove that? Another elder stepped forward, holding a crystal orb. This device reads emotional resonance between souls. If the bond is false or weak, the stone will remain clear. But if it is true, it will glow, Kira said softly, finishing the sentence. Ben glanced at her. Sounds simple enough? Kira smiled faintly. It never is. The elder held out the orb. Place both hands on the stone. Focus on your feelings, nothing more. Took a breath and stepped forward. Kira joined him, placing her hand gently beside his. Their fingers didn't touch, but the closeness felt warm. The orb remained silent for a moment, clear, still, then slowly, gently the light inside began to stir. A soft silver shimmer bloomed in its center, spreading like ripples on water. The council gasped quietly. The orb turned deep blue, glowing gently in both their palms. The elder's hand trembled. The bond is true. Ben blinked. That's it. Kira smiled, her voice low. It's everything. Not everyone in the room looked pleased. A younger noble stood, his eyes cold. This cannot be allowed. A human. He has no house, no legacy, no training. The bond may be real, but he is not worthy. Ben stepped back. I'm standing right. Here, you know? Kira turned to face the noble. This is not about worth. It's about truth. He took a step forward. You were of House Valen, a warrior-blooded line. You would throw that away for a man who fixes broken machines? Crossed his arms. I do more than fix machines. The noble raised his chin. Prove it. Kira's eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting? A challenge, the noble said, as our tradition allows. If he is to be bonded to you, he must defend that place with strength. Let him face. A test of courage, Ben muttered, always with the tests. Kira looked at Ben, worried. You don't have to do this. Ben shrugged. What kind of test are we talking about? The noble smiled, but it wasn't kind. He must enter the Hall of Echoes, alone. Kira inhaled sharply. That place is dangerous. Not physically, the noble said, but the hall shows. What hides inside the heart? Fear, doubt, regret. Ben looked thoughtful. Sounds like a bad dream. It is worse, Kira said. But if you pass, none can challenge the bond again. Ben looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Then I'll go. The Hall of Echoes was beneath the council tower, an ancient chamber carved from black stone, filled with blue crystals. In strange symbols, 2 guards opened the heavy doors and let Ben step inside. The air inside felt colder as the doors closed behind him. Everything fell silent. No footsteps, no wind, no breath but his own. Ben walked forward deeper into the room. Crystals on the walls shimmered, then flickered. A mist began to rise from the floor. Then the voice came. You are alone. What do you fear, human? Ben turned. Mist shaped itself into a form his old captain from Earth. Angry, disappointed. You left your team. You broke orders. Hid when others fought. Ben clenched his fists. That's not true. I stayed behind to help the wounded. The figure changed. A new shape formed his younger brother from long ago. Sad. Afraid. You weren't there when I needed you. Ben's jaw tightened. I was stuck on Mars for 9 months. I didn't have a choice. The mist shifted again. Oh, it was Kira. Cold. Distant. I trusted you, the image said. But you will leave. You will run. Ben stared at the image. No, I won't. You're not one of us, the image said. You don't belong. Ben stepped closer. Maybe not. But I care. I stayed. I helped you. I won't walk away. The mist began to swirl, breaking apart. The voice faded. You have faced the echoes. Your fear does not rule you. The crystals glowed blue. The doors slowly opened again. Ben stepped. Out, pale but steady. Kira ran to him. Are you okay? He nodded. I saw a lot, but I didn't fall. The young noble looked furious but said nothing. The oldest elder stood and raised his hand. The bond has been tested by truth and by spirit. It holds. It stands. It is now protected by our law. Kira breathed out deeply. Ben blinked in surprise. "That's it?" he asked. The elder gave a faint smile. "That is everything." That night, back in their private quarters, Kira handed Ben a small metal ring. It wasn't gold or silver or full of gems. It's just a smooth band with a soft marking inside. He held it up. "What's this?" "Our kind doesn't wear rings," she said. "But I made this for you. It's a symbol, not of ownership, of choice." Ben looked at her, then slowly placed it on his hand. "Thanks," she smiled. "You passed the test. You are one of us now." Ben smirked. "Does that mean I get a cool title?" Kira leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You already have one." "Oh yeah," she nodded. "Husband." Ben blushed slightly but smiled. For the first time since landing on this planet, he didn't feel like an outsider. He felt home. Ben stood on the wide platform of the Sky Tower looking at the city below. It was quiet now, but he felt something in the air, like a storm waiting to arrive. Kira stood behind him, fully armored again, her long dark braid resting on her shoulder. "We got a message," she said. Ben turned. "From who?" Kira looked serious. "Not who. What?" "A signal old code. It's from the Outlands." "That's where I was taken before you found me," Ben frowned. "Out. You think it's a trap?" "Maybe. But if someone survived, we need to know." Ben nodded. "Then we'll go." Kira paused. You don't have to. You've already done enough." Ben looked at her calmly. "I didn't walk through all this just to stand back now. I'm with you." Small smile touched her lips. "Then suit up. We leave in 1 hour."
Outlands.
"We're nothing like the city." "Where?" The capital was clean and full of light. This place was dark, broken, and silent. Wrecked buildings stood like ghosts. Metal scraps scattered the ground, and the wind howled between steel towers. Ben adjusted the gear on his back. "Place gives me the chills." Kira scanned the area with her visor. "We're close." Signal came from that structure. It was a large dome, half buried in rubble. As they entered, the air turned colder. Inside were flickering lights, broken machines, and the echo of something like voices, but distant. "Wait," Ben whispered. "Do you hear that?" Kira raised a hand. "Yes. Keep your voice down." They moved deeper. Then they found her, a woman chained to a wall. Not Kira's species, something different. Tall, blue-skinned, wearing a uniform that looked military. She was injured, but her eyes were wide open. She looked up. "You're not with them?" Ben knelt. "Who did this?" She coughed. "Rogans, they're planning something, not just our planet. They want Earth too." Ben felt a chill. "Earth." The woman nodded. "They tested on us. Studied how we break. You have to warn others." Kira broke the chains gently. "We'll get you out. What's your name?" The woman struggled to stand. "Tesh. I was part of the last peace patrol." Suddenly, a sound metal scraping. Then more. Footsteps, fast and heavy. Kira spun. "They're here." Rogans burst into the dome tall. Armored creatures with glowing eyes. They hissed and raised weapons. Kira pushed Ben behind cover. "Stay down." She charged forward, blade in hand, moving like wind. Her strikes were fast and precise, cutting through two attackers. Ben pulled out a small blaster, something he had trained with recently. He wasn't a soldier, but he wasn't helpless either. Tesh crawled behind rubble, still weak.
Ouch.
Ben shouted, "Hold on." He fired at one of the Rogans, hitting its shoulder. It roared and turned toward him. Ben braced himself. Before it could strike, Kira leased ChatGPT. The morning sun spilled golden light across the cracked desert floor. Tom woke to quiet birdsong and the soft hum of the base's power core. Zara was already awake. Standing near the entrance to the workshop, looking out toward the horizon. "Good morning," Tom said softly. She turned, offering a small smile. "We have work to do." They moved side by side to the command tent, where the new orders waited. "The enemy is retreating," the commander said. "We don't know if it's temporary. We must strengthen our defenses and prepare for possible counterattack." Tom nodded. "I'll get to work on the armor repairs." Zara looked at him with respect. and I will train the troops. Together, we'll keep this place safe. Days passed in steady rhythm, repairing armor, planning defenses, training soldiers. Tom's hands grew steady and sure, fixing damaged suits with care. Zara's voice was firm but encouraging, guiding the troops with confidence. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Zara approached Tom with a small package. "It's from the Valari Council," she said. "They sent supplies and a message." Tom opened it carefully. Inside was a beautifully crafted medal in honor for bravery and service. Zara smiled. "They recognize your value now." Tom felt a warmth in his chest. "Thanks to you." Shook her head. "We did this together." That night they stood outside under the stars. The desert was peaceful, the sky filled with bright lights. Tom looked at Zara. "What happens after this war?" She was quiet for a moment. "I don't know, but I want to find peace." He reached out, taking her hand gently. "Maybe peace starts with us." Her eyes met his, softening. A week later, news came from the Valari capital. The Emperor sent an envoy, inviting Zara and Tom to return to be honored and to help rebuild what was lost. Zara hesitated. "Do you want to go?" Tom smiled. "With you? Anywhere?" They prepared for the journey, knowing the road ahead was uncertain. But they were ready together. On the starship heading home, Tom and Zara looked out at the stars. Zara said, "I never imagined I'd find someone like you." Tom laughed softly. "I never imagined an alien warrior would trust me." She squeezed his hand. "Trust is stronger than any armor." As the ship moved through space, two souls from different worlds moved forward, united by respect, trust, and hope.